Welcome to my podcast channel. I'm here to share with you my intimate thoughts on contemporary art. In 2018, I stood in front of the re-performance of Imponderabilia at Palazzo Strozzi, and it took my breath away. I visited the exhibition many times before I felt ready to experience it. I was touched literally by the artwork. I myself became a part of it. I was instantly and suddenly a part of Imponderabilia. My soul undressed. I was reborn in an exchange between my energy and the art piece, just by walking through an entrance made of two nude bodies. And this experience stayed with me forever. In her memoirs, Marina Abramović wrote that when she and Dulé were developing the work, they thought about a simple fact: if there were no artists, there would be no museums. And from this line of thought, they decided to create this poetic gesture. The artist would physically become adorning to the museum, meaning you too become an artwork, an essential entity without which the gallery space could not exist, just by walking through them. In June 1977, at the Galleria Comunale d'Arte Moderna in Bologna, the public entering the museum were forced to pass between the physical and psychological energy fields generated by two ends of the sexual spectrum, Ulay and Marina in nude. They both stood facing each other in a doorway that Ulay had built cases into in order to make it narrower, exaggerating the intimacy shared between the artist and the observers. This created a dialogue not only with each other, but with the viewer too, making it impossible to remain indifferent to their emotionally and almost electrically charged space. For some, it was visibly discomforting, and others noticeably alluring. The performance intended to last for 6 hours, but after 3 hours, the police arrived and put an end to it. Imponderabilia translates the word imponderable, which means a factor that is difficult or impossible to estimate or assess. The text on the wall of the museum said, "Imponderable, such imponderable human factors as one's aesthetic sensitivity, the overriding importance of imponderables in determining human conduct." The text addressed the viewer's behavior at the entrance, making the audience and their reaction the center stage of the piece, instead of the artists themselves. Once they were inside the museum, they realized that they had been filmed with a hidden camera. By watching the video documentation of the performance, one may note that what stands out the most is the uncertainty of the visitors, even though the artists are the ones who stand naked. While passing through, the visitors at least try to avoid the eye contact. And according to Marina's observations, most of them chose to turn their bodies towards her instead of Ulay. Why do you think they did so? In that period, Marina and Ulay spent years living in an old van with their dog, traveling across Europe from one performance to the next under the collective title of Relation Works. Much of their art was about the body. This allowed them to perform anywhere. They didn't need any materials or a studio. The work left no trace except an audio and video documentation, and the memory in both theirs and spectators had remained. Their relationship is an integral part for the comprehension of Imponderabilia, because while they stood there at the gallery entrance in Bologna, it was their eyes that the audience could see, which had a whole story behind. It was their energy that they could feel and walk through, their mute dialogue that they could hear if listened attentively. It can be arguable whether the piece should be reperformed or left in the archive. Marina herself believes that it's vital for performances to be preserved and reenacted. In 2010, she founded the Abramović Institute, where she teaches young artists the ways of physical and mental preparation for the long-lasting performances. They include cleaning the house retreat, the Abramović method, and other various techniques and methods. On the one hand, acting as re-performers, her students become living material used by the artist to present her art. On the other hand, they are independent artists who create a performance based on their own psychophysical and energetic power. So they follow the rules of the Abramović method and keep the concept of her work. However, each time they create a unique performance in the present time and space. If one will have a chance to experience a re-performed Imponderabilia, it will never be the same, as energetic field in the center of the passage which artists create, it will always be unique. And perhaps this is the real beauty of the performance, its imponderability. You could only catch it when you were there in the right place, Bologna, and the right time, 1977. You may ask, why this artwork is so special, and I would tell you, simply because it concerns your body and mind, makes you the center of the work, and finally it makes you understand that the gaze is more powerful than the touch. It liberates by overcoming yourself. It gives you a different perception on nudity. Nudity is not about shame, embarrassment, or vulnerability. It is beautiful. We were born naked, and we are our real selves when we have no clothes on. And in case of Imponderabilia, the body is just a tool which is nothing compared to our minds and souls. And by feeling the intimacy of someone else's body, you may get to know yourself through it. May you walk through a similar passage one day and expand the boundaries of your body and mind.